substantial information, we'll have a media conference. We last had a media conference, I think it was Friday. Was it?
Yes, sir.
Was it Friday? For since then, there's been nothing substantial. No change in the figures or whatever. And that has led to, I think we issued a press release on Saturday. And now, of course, media conference again today. So as usual, I'll start with a statement, and then we go into the question and answer phase. With me at the table, my companions, I have Captain Flores from the Maritime Search and Rescue Coordination Center. I have Colonel Roberts, Colonel General Staff of GDF, and I have Deputy Commissioner Mr. Errol Watts, the Guyana Police Force. And I will proceed with the statement. The government of Guyana wishes to provide the following update on the ongoing search and rescue operations arising from the capsizing of the MV Barima. Search and rescue operations remain active, with 18 assets currently deployed in support of the operations. These comprise 3 aircraft and 15 vessels. The search area remains unchanged and continues west to Winey Point and east to Adventure. Maritime and aerial assets are maintaining continuous search operations across the designated area. To date, 77 persons were rescued. However, one survivor subsequently died. All right, so I subsequently passed away, resulting in 76 survivors. The number of bodies recovered remains at 73. It is currently estimated that 30 persons remain unaccounted for or deemed missing. Of the bodies recovered, 5 have not yet been positively identified. The Ministry of Health has appealed to members of the public who may have relevant information to assist in the identification of these individuals so that they may be released to their relatives for interment. Every effort continues to be made to complete the identification process with the utmost care and dignity. All bodies that were positively identified thus far have been released to their families for burial. The government of Guyana remains unwavering in its support for the families who have lost loved ones and for all those affected by this tragedy. Search and recovery efforts will continue as necessary, as long as every reasonable measure can be taken. Future updates will be provided as additional information becomes available. That's the end of the short statement. We now open for any questions.
Sir, what are some of the medium to long-term plans, or even short-term plans, to salvage the vessel? And also, would government be willing to take on board the offer by the opposition leader to assist with the salvaging of the vessel?
Well, there are several offers being submitted to government, several proposals for salvaging the vessel. As I speak with you, there, in addition to those offers to salvage the vessels, it is the wishes of the family that are important at this stage, because if there is an indication from the family that they prefer, to have the area be deemed a memorial site, then we go with that option. Okay? But the issue of salvaging the vessel, if the family feels that we should go ahead and salvage the vessel, government is likely to honor the wishes of the family.
And is the offer
So,
by Mr. Mohammed?
let me finish. So you have two options there, right? As I said, you have offers to salvage a vessel, right? And then there's this whole issue about the area being deemed a memorial site and a memorial being constructed. But the family's wishes is what is important now.
So my follow-up questions are, is the offer by Mr. Mohammed one of those to be considered? And secondly, how does government, which has appointed a COI, balance the wishes of the family with the need to get to the bottom of the cause of the sinking of the vessel, bearing in mind the likelihood of evidence coming from the vessel directly?
Well, you were yesterday, I did mention the difficulties by the divers, right? And diving was suspended yesterday in terms of search and recovery. So if diving is suspended yesterday in terms of search and recovery, it leaves us with two options now. Is either the vessel remain in its current position as is, or we entertain one of the offers to salvage it. And as I said, the family wishes will guide us as to whichever option, which of the two options is pursued.
Well, why are you relying on the family's wishes when the intention is to get to the bottom of the cause of the sinking of the vessel, bearing in mind the likelihood of the vessel itself containing relevant evidence for a commission of inquiry?
Well, the vessel, as we know right now, will still have remains of some of the people who are missing. Okay? So, therefore, the family consideration as to the way forward, as far as we're concerned, is important here.
But what about the navigational aids and the condition of the engine? Perhaps they contain crucial evidence, as in an aircraft accident, which is studied, say, by the US NTSB and all the relevant agencies in coming to a decision on the cause of an incident. How do you balance that wish of the family with getting to the truth?
We want to get to the truth, but we want to also honor the wishes of the family. A commission of inquiry, if we are unable to salvage the vessel, a commission of inquiry will still be done. That is the reality. As I said, we have offers, and we have this idea of the place being a memorial site, and we have the inquiry.
Is government trying to hide something by...
Government has nothing to hide. Government has nothing to hide. I can tell you up front. We have nothing to hide.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Prime Minister, time is ticking when it comes to the salvaging of this vessel. So how does the administration decide which offer trumps which one? The family as against these offers you say are coming in on that. And the number of 73 bodies recovered, we noted today that there were criminal charges filed for 72 murders, but we've been hearing about 73 bodies recovered.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain, perhaps from your side, the discrepancy there? Is that extra one the person who later passed away, or did that person who was being transported, that body was being transported, included among the 73 recovered? The deceased that was already being transported?
Well, I rather suspect the prosecutors are just trying to be careful by putting 72. That's my simple answer to it.
And in terms of which trumps which?
In terms of what?
In terms of the salvaging of the vessel, how is the government deciding? I know you said that you're looking at the families, what they might want, and it's not criminal probe. So how are you deciding which trumps which as time takes by?
We've always said from the inception that we will respect the wishes of the family. We are aware there's a commission of inquiry, but we also give a commitment to the family that we will follow their wishes. So I'm saying there are a lot of offers to salvage, right? And also this idea of making it memorial site. As I talk to you right now, the president is in Mabaruma. He's meeting with family members. Okay? You're aware that there is a document out. If the family members sign saying that, look, they want to go ahead with the salvage or they want to go with this memorial, we'll have to honor their wishes.
Is government trying to convince them to say yes?
No. Government is not trying to
salvage.
convince anybody to say anything here. We got to move on, right? We got to move on. Yes, you want to advise me who? Jennifer?
Start with Leroy and then I go Ms. Ball and then.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Mr. Flores, well, through the chair. Mr. Flores,
Ask the question to me, man.
Okay, Prime Minister, can you tell us how difficult and how uncharted the waters are where that vessel went down? And could you also tell us about the safety issue of making that area a memorial site? And to back up my colleagues' questions, if you're depending on the wishes of the family with respect to salvaging or not to salvage, does this work by a majority because you have people on land who would have received their family's remains but they're still looking for answers and the truth? And so I need those to be answered, as well as I would also like to ask you if we are going to get the certificates of inspection and the registrations for the vessels that we asked for last week, which you instructed Mr. Thomas to give to the media, and which he committed to giving to us yesterday. And back to last week, I asked when was the former head, or when was Ms. Morton replaced as head of Transport and Harbors Department, and under what circumstances and or conditions?
With regards to Ms. Marchant.
Ms. Marchant.
Ms. Marchant,
Yes.
Who's Ms.
Marcelin
Marchant?
Marchant.
To the former jail.
former head.
Yes.
We don't have any answer to Ms. Marchant. I'm hearing it for the first time now.
The country heard it for the first time last week too,
That's what?
that she's no longer there. After when this incident occurred, then it's when the public know that Ms. Marchant is no
That
longer.
there's somebody else acting there now.
But somebody else.
Yeah, well, I cannot answer about Ms. Marchant. It's a matter for Teenage G and the minister.
But we asked when he was there, we got no response.
No, well, I cannot answer that. The other question with regards to the registration and everything concerning the boats, that is being compiled, and we are advised by Teenage G legal representative that will not be distributed to the media, but it will be compiled and ready for the Commission of Inquiry.
The safety of making the wreckage site a memorial site.
That will be considered if the people decide that it will be a memorial site. The whole issue about safety and everything will be considered in that process. I cannot answer that here. You know, it is out at sea, right?
Yeah,
It is in 11.5 meters of water,
And
right?
that
So
is
all
very
these
concerned.
considerations will be taken on board if the move is towards making a memorial site. All those will be considered as part of the whole design and construction of that memorial site.
Mr. Phillips, we have several oil and gas companies here, probably the biggest in the world, and they have access to some major equipment, advanced equipment and machinery and so on, which are capable of executing salvage operations. Why is there a twist and turn to really decide that we want to bring this vessel up and to support what Dennis and Gordon said? There may be critical things on that vessel that will support commission of inquiry and also provide closure for the relatives of those people who died on that vessel.
I'm trying not to answer the same question twice. I already give an answer to that question.
But it doesn't add up. Why is government not willing to?
I told you just now that there are several offers of salvaging the vessel.
But you seem to be weighing heavily on the family's wishes. And I'm quite certain at the end of it all, we will hear that
There are
family-
several offers to salvage the vessel. However, whether we salvage the vessel or we go with the construction of a memorial site, it has to be done in keeping with the wishes of the family. That is being placed to the family. I told you that just now. Didn't I? Didn't I mention that just now? Well, let's move to the next question.
PM, good afternoon. What evidence was provided as relates to the captain and the crew members today to have them charged with murder instead of manslaughter? That's the first one.
I will not answer that question. You know why? Because the DPP had issued a press release. So I will ask that you refer to the DPP press release. It's out there in the media right now. Anybody got it? Right? Anybody got it? And it's quite self-explanatory. Everything is there. You want me to read it for you?
No, it's fine. My second
Okay.
question, sir. You said this one of the COI will continue without the vessel being salvaged if that's the request of the family.
Whether the vessel is salvaged or
The
not,
COI
the
will-
COI will
Will continue.
continue.
Great. So could you please explain where the data will come from the data that's needed from the vessel? How will you get that if the vessel doesn't come up for the COI?
I can answer. You want to answer too?
I can answer.
Sure. Thanks.
Now, the COI will determine their terms of reference or the questions they would want to ask. Quick glances of some of the things that they would require would come mostly from the witnesses themselves, the people alike, the captain and the mate and the engineers and so on. And it will come from the people who coordinated any rescue effort, which is us, and probably the people who assisted, which is the fishermen and other people who assisted. I don't see the vessel itself having any, there's no black box in the vessel like an aircraft to see what went wrong. We have all the information on charts, depths of the water, the meteorological conditions at the time. We have all of those things that we will supply to the commission. So, in honesty, there's not much bringing up the vessel will provide unless it had a major accident, it hit something. But our evidence suggests there's nothing in that area. We have charted information.
Or an engine failure.
And I would like to add that there must be some records in terms of the documents concerning the vessel, right?
Correct. There is a document.
Right? Registration,
Mr. Thomas said
the
no
capacity of the vessel, repairs that were done over the years to the vessel. They must have some documents.
What about
The Commission of Inquiry, right? The Commission of Inquiry will have the relevant terms of reference prepared, right? Which will be used to point them in different directions to gather as much information, that they will need. As mentioned by Captain Flores, and of course by myself in terms of records. And so,
If I may be allowed to follow up, sir, could you please say, is there an estimated time for when the Commission of Inquiry
as
should
soon
begin?
as possible, the people are already informed, right? And they already committed themselves. So just a matter of them coming to Guyana now and, like to be sworn in. Necessary instruments, terms of reference being drafted, venue for the Commission of Inquiry, right? And the supporting staff. All those work are being done right now.
Mr. Prime Minister, if I could look before the captain, in a minute.
Councillor Logan, NCN News. Prime Minister, follow up to Mr. Shibra's question. You stated that there are proposals or offers. Are these proposals or offers local, international, and where is it coming from?
International
Those
companies,
salvaging.
yeah. Salvage companies, well, reputable salvage companies around the globe.
Any names?
No, I don't have any names now.
And the other question, what has the government learned from managing this large recovery operation, and how will those lessons help improve Guyana's emergency response in the future?
Well, that's a good question. You want to take that one?
Could take it.
Good. I'm going to ask you to say something.
Obviously, this is the first
Okay.
such a large marine accident, and it will give some good lessons to us. I can't say what lessons at this stage because I haven't met all the participants who have been engaged in the whole rescue effort. But certainly, it will improve our response system and rescue system. It will improve. It will answer some of the gaps that we have, and certainly it will be used to improve the systems.
Does it, John?
Yes.
Hold on. Cornell would like
Thank
to
you.
add to that.
Thank you, Prem. An operation of this magnitude, and all operations that we conduct are not completed until we do what we call an after-action review.
Mm-hmm.
And that will inform lessons learned and capabilities to acquire and improve upon. And this operation would not be completed from our side until that activity takes place.
And that doesn't don't have a timeline for that.
Well, as soon as we close operations, within a day or two, whenever that date is, that ER will take place.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Right, and in addition to that, they have all the records, all the communication are being logged, like from the time they got the distress signal to the tower, when the tower passes the signal to the lighthouse, when the lighthouse passes the signal to the center, right, the search and rescue center, all these things are being logged, right, and all these press releases, the records from the GDF Coast Guard and so, all will be compiled and utilized as they do the after action report. And coming out of the after action report, they obviously will have recommendations to, as you mentioned, to improve readiness or whatever capabilities, gaps or so that they recognize that they wanted at the time but they may not have had. You know, so it's be quite informative. The police force will also be involved in this process, right? The whole mechanism, the interagency approach that was adopted for this operation, all the stakeholders at different stages will be part of that after action
All right, Prime
review.
Minister, this really opens the eyes to the importance of following SOPs, not just in black and white, but ensuring that it is followed. SOPs generally.
Well, I'm talking about the search and rescue, search and recovery aspect here.
I understand, but I'm just saying it really opens your eyes to the importance of following SOPs.
What opened your eyes to that?
I'm asking about the recovery and so on, and looking ahead in terms of what you can do to improve or whatever. So I'm just saying that it technically opens your eyes to following the importance of following SOPs.
Yes, certainly. I agree with you.
Yes.
Of course, before we continue, Mr. Allen, then we have Mr. Smith and Ms. Mosley, then we have Mr. Chabral. I have the newsroom and then followed by Ms. Bach. So over to Ms. Allen.
John Ryan, NCN News. For the benefit of the public, can you explain the logistical and technical challenges that would hinder salvaging the vessel? Secondly, what type of specialized equipment is currently being utilized by the maritime and aerial assets that are in the area? And my third question, of the offers of assistance, has there been further government-to-government offers of assistance or offers from organizations like CDEMO? And have there been any further offers for psychosocial support for families affected by the tragedy?
But in terms of psychosocial support, we have the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security are spearheading that. But of course, the UNDP would have already offered assistance in that area to strengthen what we're doing, right? So yes, from an international organization that is being done. Next question.
CDEMO, has there been offers from organizations like CDEMO or government-to-government offers for offers of assistance?
Well, we had the offer from Brazil, Trinidad, and French, and they basically sent divers. In the case of Brazil, in addition to a ship, you had a helicopter.
And the RSS also.
On board the ship. You had the RSS that came in I think the same night, right? And they flew over the area with the infrared and all the special equipment, flew over the area and assisted with the search. The issue right now is, yes, we continue doing the search over the area, right? Just in case there's anything to see out there. The reality based on the experts is that you're not likely to be able to recover any more bodies out there from just searching in terms of bodies floating. All right? Anybody out there is likely to be trapped in the vessel.
Okay. What type of specialized equipment is being used by the search teams, the aerial and maritime assets?
Well, I don't have the technical competence to pronounce on their search equipment, but I'm advised that they have, like, for example, night lighting devices that could help them to search in the night. They have infrared, right, which can also help them to search when visibility is challenged and so, right? So those are special equipment on board the average helicopter that you will find coming to do search and rescue. The divers going down, they will have special lighting equipment too, right? Notwithstanding the fact the water remains murky and muddy, right? If you just listen to the video with the French divers explaining the difficulties, and you basically have to feel your way, notwithstanding all these special lighting equipment that you have. You basically have to feel your way as you reach to the vessel. And the vessel every day is more or less sinking deeper and deeper into the mud, right? Because, you know, I mean, you got the undercurrents and mud is moving all the time, and basically it is being piled and deposited around and inside the vessel. Answer your question?
We'll take the next question from Mr. Smith and then Mr. Mosley, followed by Mr. Cabral. We have newsroom and then Ms. Mark.
Prime Minister, when the issue of this vessel first came to light, it was reported by the official that Tumeri received a signal. Is there a reason why the lighthouse did not receive that signal, that maritime signal distress call? And Mr. Robert, well, Prime Minister, so you probably pass it to Mr. Roberts. Can you say what is the closest asset, GDF asset, to that area where the boat encountered or sent out that distress call?
Well, before I ask any other member to join me in answering you, this was reported and I think was published in the news. At 15:20 hours, MV Barima departed. At 22:43, Air Traffic Control Center Tumeri received distress signal. At 23:01, Georgetown Lighthouse received information from Air Traffic Control Tumeri. 23:03, the Georgetown Lighthouse informed the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center, who then informed GDF, Coast Guard, Guyana Police Force, other stakeholders. At 23:11, Coast Guard deployed GDFS 1030 from Pomeroon Floating Base. At 23:25, MRCC assembled National Search and Rescue Committee. At 23:40, Coast Guard deployed 2 vessels from Rumville Base. I think I want to stop there. But this information is available to you if you want it.
No, but Prime Minister.
But yes.
Initially, the nation was told that the signal was the distress call was first received by Tumeri, and it's on record.
Yes, I just said that.
Good.
I
So
just
I'm
said
asking, why did the lighthouse did not first receive that signal, that maritime signal? What is the lighthouse there for? So I'm trying to figure out why Tumeri as against the lighthouse. That is my question.
Yeah.
Now, the distress signal that went off, the EPIRB that we refer to, emergency signal that went off.
Could you speak up, please, for the microphones?
Operates on a...
The EPIRB.
The EPIRB
Explain to you
operates
what the EPIRB.
on a satellite system. It bounces on a satellite system, who then sends it to a station in the United States that receives it and processes it. Then they distribute it to where the signal is coming up, the nearest station is coming up. It happens to be air traffic control at Timeri. The lighthouse do not have that equipment to receive such a system. It's called the GMDSS system, Global Maritime Distress Safety System. As yet, Timeri has. So we use Timeri as Guyana's receiving station for all distress, whether it's at sea, land, within the jurisdiction of Guyana. We use Timeri to do that.
So what is the lighthouse doing if it doesn't have this key piece of equipment and technology? What is the purpose of the lighthouse?
Lighthouse is basically to show lights for vessels to come in safely into harbor. That's their purpose. We just use it what we call an alerting post to receive. But I receive also simultaneously from the air traffic control, similar to the lighthouse. They will send directly to me.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, Mr.
No, my other question wasn't answered. The GDF's closest asset to where the vessel went down, because I'm advised you guys have a facility or an asset which is not very far away from that. So I'm trying to figure out why the delay in response.
The closest asset to that location would be the base at the mouth of the Palm River. You have a float, we call it a floating base.
Yes.
And that's the closest asset to the incident site. And that was the first asset to respond once we got the notice.
In the normal scheme of things, how long will it take the GDF with the metal shafts or whatever to get from the mouth of the Palm River to that location?
Well, so far with the juice, currently it takes about 2.5 to 3 hours depending on the state of the ocean at any given time.
Okay.
Mr. Prime Minister, sir, based on that timeline you just provided, the distress call being received at 22:43. Am I correct there? At Timeri?
22:43.
And the first rescue vessel went out what time? 23:41.
No.
23:11.
The distress was received at 22:43, 10:43 p.m.
10:43, 23:11. Right? So 17 minutes to 11, the distress signal received, and 11 minutes after 11, the vessel departed Pomeroon. The Coast Guard vessel departed Pomeroon.
What time did the lighthouse receive their signal? Because something seems...
The lighthouse received the signal at 23:01. There's 1 minute past 11.
So it took 15 minutes essentially from when the signal was first received to the time the lighthouse was informed.
23:43, 23:01, yeah, roughly about 50 minutes. And then another what, 10 minutes before the vessel depart.
That will take 2 hours to get to the site.
Yeah, he said about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I have the information here. At 2:27, the 4 set of people were rescued.
I'm trying to understand that 50-minute gap between a call from Timeri to a call to the lighthouse. What is responsible for that 15-minute gap in an emergency situation? One, I'm trying to understand that. And sir, over the past week at these very press conferences, the media in the nation, we were repeatedly told and provided with different bits of information that this vessel was not overloaded. But has the government come around to accepting that, taking into account that someone who was in charge of loading or overlooking the loading of the vessel and was not on the vessel when it went down is now before the courts? Has the government come around to accepting the fact that the vessel was overloaded?
The government, from the inception, has accepted that there are several discrepancies. Recall the first one that we dealt with? We had a manifest that we were working with, and then we found out that people were on the vessel who were not listed on the manifest. Okay, so I know, yes, I was at all the press conference. I know there were pronouncements about the load of the vessel and vessel not being overloaded, but the fact that we identify one discrepancy means that there may be other discrepancies. We are at the stage now where we have a commission of inquiry, and the commission of inquiry will have to rule on that issue of whether the vessel was overloaded or not.
And sir, finally from me, there's a national disaster risk reduction platform that falls under your purview. Could you say how many times that platform has met, what has been its work over since you've assumed office, essentially to prepare for any such occurrences like we're facing today?
We've met on a regular basis, and we had several exercises to deal with national disasters. Okay, but this particular one is maritime related, maritime search and rescue, and that's why Captain Flores is here, who also sits on this whole national body.
And sir, in all of this and what has taken place, there are 13 crew members who are still to be found, are missing at sea, which essentially makes this incident possibly or probably the deadliest work-related workplace incident.
Only 7 of the crew members still missing.
So, how much of them got rescued?
7.
Like about 16 or 18. 7
7 still missing.
7 still missing, might be more.
No, 7. We went through the numbers.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking, from a labor perspective, will the Labor Department, the Labor Ministry be launching its own investigation into this workplace death, since this is essentially the single most deadly workplace incident for those crew members who may have died, who have died?
Well, you know, look, nothing stops the Labor Department from doing, if you want to call it a ministerial or departmental investigation, specifically to deal with the crew. As you mentioned, is work-related. What we're focusing on is this overall commission of inquiry, which has a broader mandate. Okay? But the Labor Ministry could do an investigation. Nothing stops them from doing that.
But has the government from the top asked the Labor Ministry, the Labor Department to look into that aspect of it? Because we've heard nothing from the Labor Ministry with regards to this tragedy when 13 persons have died in the workplace.
In keeping with the occupational safety
And health
Act.
standards.
I'm saying that could be done. Government has not directed the Labor Ministry to do any such investigation as yet, but as you recommended, we can pursue and ensure that's been done if it's necessary. But as I mentioned, we have this big independent commission of inquiry that has a broader mandate. And they can also include that if they want to pronounce on that.
Next question from Mr. Chabral, followed by Bashani Rababir.
Mr. Prime Minister, a question to you and to Mr. Flores through you. Sir, in relation to what has transpired, do you or does the government believe that there was a deliberate attempt to kill the passengers and crew? And to Mr. Flores through you, what if the engine failed and you did not, and you really don't know if that might have contributed to the cause? How do you determine that? And is the manifest, which has been talked about, in keeping with the definition by the IMO of what the manifest should include? Questions?
I don't feel, at no time did I harbor any thoughts that anybody, much less the captain and crew, had any intentions of killing anybody on that boat. But we have an independent commission of inquiry, and that commission of inquiry have their work cut out. I'm aware of the charges, but as I pointed you to, the DPP did explain that clearly in that press release. Okay? The other question?
The other question is in relation to the manifest. Is it in keeping with the definition of what a manifest should include according to the IMO rules? And also, how do we know the engine did not fail, and therefore getting to the bottom of the cause or contributory causes may include engine failure if you don't salvage the vessel.
Go ahead.
I can answer the engine failure. The other part, I'm not an expert in IMO on the manifest issue. I am not in a position to say whether the engine fail contributed, because that will have to come out, as I said, from the evidences of the people who are alive now that was on the boat. An engine fail doesn't mean that they will sink the boat, that the engine has failed, but it could contribute. So, from the evidence that they will give, if they say the engine fails and what occurred after it failed, that will tell us things. So, it's kind of premature because we have not had any evidence on the people who, especially the crew, who was there to see whether it failed or not. I don't think if you salvage the boat, that would show anything like engine failure. I think it will come more from the people who is alive that was on the boat at the time it capsized.
And we have crew members who were alive, right?
Were they debriefed by you apart from the police? Were they debriefed by the Transport and Harbors or Maritime Regulator?
The crew members who are alive, more likely they will be before the commissioner inquiry. So we need to wait on that. I mean, it's a good question you're asking, but we need to wait on that. The crew members, they will be very important as we pursue this commission of inquiry, and they will have an opportunity to speak. The next question, as it pertains to the manifest in keeping with the IMO, we already established that there's been discrepancies in the manifest.
Yeah, but it's a manifest in keeping with the definition of the IMO. It talks about proper identification of passengers, etc. Or is it you relying on identification that anybody provides when they purchase a ticket on the ferry pass or via MMG?
I am just want to repeat that we've already established that there has been a deviation from practices associated with a manifest. And that is a violation not only of the TNAG regulations, but I would proffer that it is a violation of the IMO regulations too. However, that also will be pronounced on at this independent commission of inquiry.
Next question was Mr. Sean.
Mr. Prime Minister, a couple of things. First, on the salvaging or constructing that memorial, I'm just curious, if you have some families who want the memorial and some families who want the vessel to be salvaged, how do you ultimately make that call if there's no common agreement?
It will be a conflict that will need a conflict resolution approach. I cannot give you an answer here. We'll have to resolve it as we face it.
Okay. Mr. Prime Minister, a couple other things. For the 3 persons charged, persons who are also affected by the tragedy, what sort of psychosocial support are they receiving right now? And for the COI, what's your timeline for hiring the local staff for the COI, and how long do you expect the COI to last?
We are actively dealing with the COI right now, as I mentioned before, preparing the terms of reference, right? Necessary instruments that the commissioners will have to take an oath and sign to, and identifying the staff and venue. That is being done as I speak, right? We want to do that as early as possible. That's an urgent task, and that is being done through the AG's office. In terms of how long the commission will last, I cannot say, but we expect the commission to be thorough in its work. And I think that's more important for us, for them to be thorough in their work.
And the support for the persons charged?
The persons who are charged, they are also listed as survivors, and they're also listed on the survivors register, okay, and they are receiving psychosocial assistance like anybody else. We not differentiate in between whether you're charged and you're a survivor or whether you're a survivor and you're not being charged. Everybody listed on that register receive counseling.
How are they receiving it? Is it
In person.
in prison?
In person, and you can have counseling in prison too. You have welfare officers who work in prison. Okay? So whether they are detained and they're passed through the court and they're in prison, they will still have access to all the necessary psychosocial care, right? Counseling, etc. I can assure you of that.
All right, the next question now is from Ms. Val, followed by Mr. Henry from TV.
PM, who first proposed the idea of memorial site? Was it the
Who
Who first proposed the idea of the memorial site? Was it the government or the families? And my second question, could you name the persons who President Ali consulted with to choose these persons to be on the commission?
I cannot answer anything about the commission because I don't have that information. I'm like you. I have the information of the names of the commissioners. And I went through the names, and they're all well qualified, well respected internationally. I've seen the CVs. I think it's published in the papers, on social media.
Right, so who first proposed the idea of a memorial site?
That came out from some discussion with the families of the survivors who were still missing.
So the families asked?
The families of the survivor came out in a discussion. The president had several engagements, and as I speak, he's still having engagement with families of the survivors, families of those who are missing. Okay, he's moving around, and these are some of the things that are being discussed. Okay, and they reached a point where more or less said, well, look, if that is the case, let's have people put the names down who are requesting that. So that process has started. You saw the document. Okay? It's for people now to fill in the names, indicating that that is what they want, that's what they desire, because it's in keeping with what we said from the inception. As we seek to bring closure, we want to respect the wishes of the families of those who have passed during this terrible incident, not only those whose bodies were identified, but those who were still deemed as missing.
Question from Mr. Henry.
Hi, Prime Minister. I would like to know when and if operations will resume to Port Kaituma for persons, for the transportation of persons, and which vessel will be used for that, as well as in terms of the canteen that was on board the vessel. Do you know if alcohol is commonly sold in that particular canteen, as well as what is the particular license that needs to be followed if that is being done?
You have me guessing there. I would say that you have adults traveling on the boat. And I don't see, do you have canteen on the other ferries? Do they have alcohol? Anybody travel on ferry?
The MV Militia does.
Right, so it's likely that they may have alcohol there, and there would have to be a licensed person operating the canteen, right? I would want to believe that they were licensed, and they would have had alcohol, because adults travel on the boat. Huh?
What leads you to believe that they were licensed?
Because they're operating on the ferry. Notwithstanding the fact that we would have identified discrepancies in the manifest, you operate in a canteen, you know, you ought to have a license, especially in a government facility. So let's move on. We answering his questions.
Yeah, in terms of the
You got to be disciplined.
the operation for the transportation of persons now, we know that cargoes are...
Yes. In terms of the ferry service has continued, you know. There's been no disruption in the ferry service to Northwest because the MV Militia travels from Georgetown to Mabaruma, right? And it moors at the waterfront of Mabaruma, a place called Komaka. The MV Barima is traveling from Georgetown to Port Kaituma, for the reason that it's a smaller vessel and it could dock at the existing facilities at Port Kaituma. What is happening now is that the MV militia will continue its regular trips from Georgetown to Port Kaituma, and smaller vessels have already been contracted to do the trip from Comaka to Port Kaituma. So we still maintain the regular ferry service, basically. And I want to offer you some information here that the corrective work that had started at Port Kaituma, that corrective work is likely to finish earliest by January 2027. And once that corrective work is finished, it means that the MV militia will not only now go to Port Kaituma, go to Comaka, but also go to Port Kaituma. You got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Right, I think we had a lot of questions here. So you can stop now?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
Prime Minister.
You always want to be the last?
Yeah, no, because I asked her and she indicated.
You indicated? No. Did you indicate it? Well, if you indicated it, then I have to follow your indications.
Last question from Ms. Smith, and we have ended for the
Mr. Flores, you said that if the engine comes up, we won't know if there was an engine failure, correct?
I said
Good. Mr. Flores, with engineers all across this world and with airplanes and so on, when you pull up, when you go to a wreckage site and they examine the engine and so, they know if the engine have a fault. Are you suggesting that there is absolutely no way, if that vessel is salvaged, that nobody will be able to determine if that vessel had an engine failure?
I didn't say that.
Are you suggesting that? Because you said there's no way for us to know if the engine failed.
It's difficult to say if the engine fails. I said it's more possible to say if it fails by people who are living, who was there on the boat. That's what I said.
Okay.
What service these in?
No, so does that answer your question?
No, sir.
What he's saying, the witness from among the crew who were likely to go before the commission inquiry, they can pronounce as to whether they had any difficulties with the engine. In addition to what I understand what you say, you're saying if you salvage the engine, somebody take it apart, they could determine whether there was an engine problem or failure, right? But we're also saying that even if you didn't salvage the engine, salvage the boat and take out the engine and inspect it, the witness, the crew, the people on the board could say whether they had the engine stopped running and they had to do any repairs, and therefore you make a deduction that there was a problem, right? So either way, it can be done. We have to stop here.
No.
Yes.
Because we can keep going on and on and on.
Which company was servicing these engines?
Prime Minister,
Which company was servicing these engines?
Well, let me tell you something. At the Commission of Inquiry, all matters pertaining to serviceability of the boat, when last the engine was repaired, who does the servicing, if there was a new engine, all that would come out of the Commission inquiry. Don't let us try to preempt the information that will come out of the Commission of Inquiry. Let's exercise some patience, right? Knowing that at the end of the Commission of Inquiry, we will have a lot of information, and every one of us here will be better informed than we are right now. I understand you want to make your newscast, you want to put information in, but we want to give you factual information. We don't want to be here making assumptions and giving you answers as we go. Right. That is not the way to go. So I plead with you. I thank you very much. I thank you. I want to thank you all very much. Thank you very much for coming now. We had a wonderful session up to now.
Incontrovertibility of engine examination.
No, we're not avoiding anything. Oh, come on, let's go back there.
Pierre, let me commend you before I leave.
You are, sir.
Please, let me commend you
before I leave. We're gonna leave now. Cameras off.
Yeah.